Good day, my happy friends. I am Drew Eric Miller, and thanks for choosing my podcast. With so much content in the world today, it's my honor to bring you just a little more happiness with each listen. I used to wonder, can I be happier? Can I live a rich, abundant life? Can I dream big and manifest my dreams? The short answer is yes, I can. After much dedicated research, I have discovered beneficial action steps, tools, and life hacks while thriving on my journey to deep and meaningful happiness. In this podcast, I am sharing my research so you too can thrive on your journey to happiness. So get comfortable with a notepad or journal, and together we will manifest happiness. Welcome to my podcast. Let's get started. It's been a long journey to get here. Like most people, I had a difficult childhood, not uncommon. As an adult, I found love and lost love. And some 2 decades ago, I asked myself, can I be happier? Can I increase my joy? And so began my journey to happiness. What I learned was I can be happier. During my marriage, I took inventory of my happiness and I realized I was pretty neutral. I was happy half the time. I was, 50% happiness, let's say, not quite unhappy, not quite happy, just that neutral position where I was just coasting, just getting through life. Well, I realized that is not enough happiness. That is not enough happiness for me. And how I thought about how can I change this? I don't want to continue just having a satisfactory life. I want more out of life, and I want something different. I don't know what that is, but I began to ask myself that question. I'm not saying my life was bad. I took vacations. I had a partner and husband and a long marriage, and we did lots of things. We had lots of friends, and it wasn't terrible. Nothing terrible happened. It just wasn't meeting my needs. What it is that I want, and I felt like there had to be more. Like I knew I could have more, and I didn't know how, but I wanted that more. I began studying, reading, researching. I even did a weekend of coaching, and it helped. It helped. The research and the learning, did help. I increased my happiness. But there was still something that was saying I needed more. Along with my increased happiness came confidence. I started feeling better about myself. I started feeling better in my skin. I was feeling better about my prospects. And what I realized was my marriage is over. This is no longer fitting me, and if I want to be happier, if I want to increase my joy in this life, I only get one life. If I want more out of this life, then I have to end this marriage. I have to end the marriage because my drive for greater happiness was higher than my acceptance of what I had in my life. So I'll say that again. My drive for a greater happiness was more than my need or desire to stay in my marriage. And so I left. Well, then I realized, well, now I've ended a 20-year relationship. This is definitely impacting my happiness. I need to heal my past, heal my marriage, heal my relationship, heal myself, and I need to do it in a big way so that I can move forward and look and search for that happiness that is just on the other side of this healing that I am very much interested in having now. because this is a big problem for me now, is this obstruction of healing. So the decision I made was to take a sabbatical and backpack Europe, which eventually led me to the idea of walking the El Camino de Santiago, which is a 500-mile pilgrimage across Spain, which is where I did a majority, if not all, of my personal healing was during that pilgrimage, which is exactly what a pilgrimage is supposed to be for. Pilgrimage is supposed to be for healing and growth and introspection, and that is what I was looking for. So yeah, I took a sabbatical. I took 8 months off. Well, when I originally started, I just was planning on taking time off, and I didn't know how long that was going to be. And what ended up being was it ended up being almost 8 months during that time period. I was 47 years old, so I guess you could call this a midlife shift, if you will. I spent the next several months, once I decided to take the sabbatical, preparing and getting ready mentally, emotionally, and physically, putting my stuff in storage, and just all the different steps and action steps that I had to take in order to leave my life behind and do this big adventure. And by the time that day came, I was ready. I was scared. I was concerned about my safety and well-being. I was afraid of not succeeding. I was afraid of the unknown. I was afraid of failure. Maybe I'm not a finisher. Maybe I don't finish things. Maybe I'm gonna quit early. I had no idea what was gonna happen, but I had done enough reading and preparation and enough action steps that I felt confident. So the day that my sabbatical began and I took my step on that plane, I knew that I was going to move forward. I was going to take fear with me, but I wasn't going to let fear drive my experience and healing. What I wanted most, which was to fall in love with me, and to heal my past 20 years, and have an adventure, which is exactly what I had the whole time I was there. My pilgrimage across Spain lasted 32 days, where I did most of my healing for the marriage and my emotional state and my past and my family and my parents, and just all kinds of stuff came up for me that I processed through on my pilgrimage. Friendships, how to deal with life. Just so much stuff happened while I was walking and contemplating and pilgrimaging. And that lasted 32 days. And then after I was done on the pilgrimage, I decided, okay, well, now's the time to walk across Europe, now that I've walked across Spain. And I spent the next 8 months in total, the next 6+ months on my backpacking Europe, where I traversed 22 countries, 111 cities, and I saw more of Europe than a lot of European folks have seen themselves. I got to witness history firsthand while I was moving through Europe, having the adventure of my life. The amount of personal trepidations I had, and fears and anxieties, and I had quite a few missteps and quite a few scary moments, moments where I felt, personally threatened, moments where I felt scared, moments where I felt alone, moments where I felt insecure. But I kept moving through all that with the confidence that I was going to be okay, and I was. Eventually, I felt satisfied with the amount of time I was away, and I decided to end my sabbatical, go back to the United States, and come out of sabbatical and start my career over and making money again. So here's my question for you. What are you willing to do? And what are you willing to give up? And what shifts and changes are you willing to make to have your dreams come true? True happiness is on the other side of vulnerability. True happiness is on the other side of risk taking. True happiness is on the other side of the action steps that are going to bring you to the greatest growth and healing and releasing of all your past and mistakes and anything else that is hindering your happiness. So true happiness is on the other side of all of that. What are you willing to do or give up or shift and change in your life in order to have it? So here's your first action step. Take inventory of your life, how it is today. I give you on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? Are you in the low, 1 through 4 category? Are you midway happy around the 5, 6 area? Or are you a 7? Look at your life and figure out, where you feel how happy you are on a scale of 1 to 10. It's not that complicated. Once you've looked at that and you've figured out, oh, I'm a 3, then you need to take inventory of what is diminishing your happiness and what is contributing to your happiness. Are your surroundings, are your home life, are your friends positively influencing your happiness? How about work? Is that bringing you joy and happiness? So take a few minutes and journal, contemplate, even meditate, and listen to that inner knowing and see what comes up for you. Look at your life, figure out the areas that are being diminished in your happiness, and figure out the areas that are being positively impacted by those actions. So, your family, your home, your work, whatever it is that is working in your life or whatever it is that is diminishing your happiness, look at it, think about it, contemplate, meditate, listen to that inner knowing so that you can get the insights. There's an inner knowing that we all have that is the intelligence that is inside of us, that is always there, that is always giving us the right answers and the right direction and the right intuitions, whatever you wish to call it. We want to get you to a 10 or a greater happiness at whatever stage you're at now, and this is how you're going to do it. Once you've done your journaling and your meditation and your inner listening, read over that journaling and see what comes up. See, okay, these areas are difficult for me. Like for me, I realized what wasn't working in my life was my marriage, which is a pretty big decision. And I realized that if I wanted the true happiness that I was looking for, I needed to step outside of this marriage and find ways of healing so that I could be happier, because that's all we want. That we just want to be more happy. This is about realizing what we need to release in order to have more happiness and what we need to do to have more happiness. This is your roadmap to happiness. So while you're looking at your journaling, figure out if there's any new goals that you can set for yourself. What are some of the things that you need to release or go towards in order to have this happiness? So there's going to be some goals in there. You just need to write all the goals down that you can figure out and document them. That is your next action step. Action step number 2. Write out all those goals that you see from your journaling and document them. Once you do that, then you're going to put them in priority of this is most exciting to it would be nice if I had this goal. So list those goals from most exciting to it would be nice. Action step 3 is now you have a list of your goals and highest priority, most exciting, and would be nice. That most exciting, that is your number one goal that you need to set for yourself now. And then action three is to make some subcategories for that new goal. So you want to create action steps, new subcategory action steps that are going to help you facilitate achieving your new number one goal. Once you list those new subcategory action steps, just prioritize that in whatever way makes sense. So let me give you an example of what I mean by a goal and subcategory action steps in order to achieve that goal. So I decided to take my sabbatical. That was my ultimate goal, and I was going to Spain to walk 500 miles across Spain. Well, if I'm going to walk 500 miles across Spain, there's action steps I need to take in order to achieve that goal. I need to buy shoes. I need to do practice walking. I need to figure out where I'm going to stay. How does this work? There was a guidebook for the Camino. There is a guidebook for the Camino, and so I bought that guidebook. I attended a meetup for people that wanted to walk the Camino, so I could learn how to what I need to put in my backpack. How much does it weigh? What do I need? What are my supplies? What do I need? I learned through that experience that I decided on two pair of socks to wear at the same time. I got a very thin sock that like a running sock, a very thin running sock, and because there's friction. And one of the people talked about, socks are very important. So I had these two layers of socks, but that the friction was going to be between the layers of socks and not between my skin and the sock, which is what causes blisters. So yeah, that was something I didn't know about and I had to prepare for. I bought hiking pants, hiking shirt. I weighed my bag. I filled my bag. I carried it. I got the Camelback water for my back in my backpack so that I could just sip out of my water while I was walking. There was a lot of preparation and thinking that went into walking 500 miles. Then there was okay, well, what am I going to do after that? So, I'll need more clothes. I'll need more provisions. I'll need more stuff. Well, what can I do when I get to Spain? Well, why don't I've got a friend in Amsterdam. I'll just mail them all the extra stuff that I don't need on the Camino. And then when I'm done with the Camino, I'll go to Amsterdam and pick up my stuff so I could backpack Europe. Because, Spain and Amsterdam, they're very close together. So that's really easy. These are all preparation steps that I had to take in order to achieve my goal, which was a successful sabbatical. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying you need to do in order to have a greater happiness. You need to risk. You need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to realize, what am I willing to do in order to be happy? And some of those decisions are hard. Some of those decisions are easy. Some of them are deciding to leave something or give something up just so that you can move forward to that greater happiness. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice that we have to make in order to find that joy, to find that happiness. I mean, I remember thinking in my marriage, I was like, are people happy? Are people that happy? Are people happier? Is everybody just like me living a mediocre life? Does everybody realize that they've let dreams go and let desires go and goals? I mean, when I was in my marriage, I was afraid of leaving my codependency, leaving the safety net of a home and a marriage and somebody that was next to me all the time. in order to have what I believed was going to be greater happiness. And there was a point where I realized that I could no longer stay in the happiness or the lack of happiness that I was having there. And so the risk was greater than the existence that I had. And evaluate, look into your life and figure that out for yourself. We want to get you to a 10 or greater happiness. And in order to achieve that, you have to really dive in and contemplate and look at your life and evaluate where you are and what you've done and what you can do differently in order to increase that joy. So I have action steps review, and they are: take inventory of your life today on a scale of 1 to 10 and determine what is contributing to your happiness and what is diminishing your happiness. Action step number 2 is figure out the goals that are in that journaling that you did and then list them. Prioritize them into most exciting and it would be nice. And that most exciting is your new goal. Mine was take a sabbatical. And action step number 3 is once you have your new goal, make subcategory action steps that are going to achieve the success of that goal. So for me, that example again was walking across Spain. So I needed to practice and walk and buy things and prepare and learn and everything I need to do for a pilgrimage across Spain. This life that we're living is meant to be joyous, hilarious, adventurous, abundant, exciting. And that's the kind of life that I have now. I have all that because I was willing to take all my steps and risk everything in order to find a little more happiness, to squeeze a little more happiness out of life. I have all of that today, and you can too. You deserve more than what you have today. And that is really important to realize. There can always be more happiness. No matter how happy you are, there are still steps you could take to increase your happiness. And that's what this podcast is going to be about. You could always be happier. I know that's shocking. I, for one, when I was going through this, I didn't believe that I could be happier or that people were happy. And I am here to tell you that yes, people are happy. Yes, there's greater happiness. Yes, you can have more. And yes, you can do it. You just have to choose it. You have to make goals and choose happiness in order to have it. Standing still, not moving, and being safe are not ways to attract greater happiness. That is not a way to manifest happiness. If you are stuck standing, in order to, the very example of stuck means that you are not taking a step forward. And so that's why I came up with the action steps that are going to help you on your path, on your journey to self-discovery and happiness, is by taking little action steps that are going to move you from unstuck to a future of greater happiness. I believe you can be happier. I believe that you can do this because I know you can. This is what every individual can do for themselves. And we all deserve more. We all deserve our best. We all deserve our highest happiness in this life that we are living today. So thank you for listening to my podcast. If you'd like more, I'm going to have a new podcast every week. This is exciting and thrilling for me also. I mean, this is stepping outside my comfort zone and making a podcast, but I know how much happiness I'm going to get from this. I also have a website, dreweric.com, where you can take a class that I wrote called Yes, I Can, all about goal setting, which is a lot of the stuff that I kind of talked about just now in this class, in this podcast. I also have coaching available, and that's it. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be happy.